Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Matt and this is my Makers podcast that I'm doing here on YouTube. That's mainly centered around knitting, but I do talk about it and show some other things that I'm kind of interested in as well. And if you're back from watching one of my other videos, good to see you again, and thanks so much for watching again. So I just want to start off by saying thanks so much for 30 subscribers here on YouTube. I honestly can't even believe that I have over 10 subscribers. So 30 subscribers with all the channels and all the people here on YouTube is quite crazy. So thanks so much for 30 subscribers, and I hope to keep making videos that you guys will enjoy and like to come back to watch. So thanks. Okay, so let's just jump right into it with what I'm wearing. So this week I am wearing my first finished object, and this is the sweater number 6 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. This was a work in progress last week, but I powered through and was able to finish it for a finished object for this video. So this is kind of a balloon type sweater. It has, as you can see here, the balloon sleeves from the rapid decreases. I made this using Studio Donegal tweed wool, which was 100% wool, and it is about 200 meters per 100 grams. So this yarn was actually a little bit lighter than the recommended yarn. I believe the recommended yarn in the pattern is Kama Rose Snuffug, if I believe, which is a kind of a little bit of a chunkier, softer wool. But I really wanted to try to make something a little bit tweedier and a little bit woolier. So this is it here, and it's just nice tweed color, has some flecks of tweed in there, and it's just a really rustic gray wool. This is actually my first ever finished knitted object for myself. All my other finished knitted objects have been gift knits, so that's pretty exciting, and this is actually my first ever sweater as well as raglan sweater. So I had a lot of fun learning some new techniques for this, such as the raglan increases and decreases, and as well as the I-cord edging. So I'll just stand up here and show you guys. So this is it completely wash and blocked. It's grown quite a bit from blocking. I believe before blocking it was up to maybe about here. The sleeves have grown quite a lot since blocking. The sleeves used to be about here before I blocked it, but after blocking they grew quite a bit and kind of create that nice balloony sleeve with the I-cord tight finished edge on the wrists. So yeah, I really enjoyed this pattern. You basically start off with casting on and then marking for your raglan increases, and then you do some short row shaping on the back, and then just work in the round doing your increases until you get below the sleeves, and then you separate for the body and the sleeves, and then just work in the round until you get to the bottom. Then you do an I-cord finish, and then work the sleeves and do some rapid decreases right at the end with another I-cord finish, and then another I-cord finish on the neckline as well. So it's definitely a cool pattern, and definitely really cool to see the raglan sweater design come to life, just working through the rounds and slowly seeing the raglan increase line here, and then slowly seeing it build and then separate for the sleeves. One thing I did see online when doing a raglan is that sometimes you have the holes underneath the arm where you connect and then pick up the stitches for the sleeves. So I had seen a video on YouTube how to try to decrease that hole as much as possible, so I did follow that, and as you can see here, there is a little bit of a hole on this side, but not too much. But on this side I think it turned out really well, and there's no hole at all, so I'm pretty happy with the design. I would definitely recommend the pattern to beginner knitters. It's definitely a nice first raglan sweater that teaches you a lot of new techniques, like I said, like the rapid decreases as well as the I-cord finish and the short rows on the back, as well as some other things. So it was definitely cool to do those, but I would maybe recommend doing it in either the recommended yarn or something a little bit more softer. This sweater is definitely very hot and woolly, so if that's what you're going for, then you could definitely use a rustic wool like I used. But I think if I were to make this again, it would be nice to have kind of a nice soft and fluffy type sweater. I think that could be cool for a nice casual sweater. But yeah, that's my first finished object this week, and my first ever personal finished knit. So moving over to my next finished object, this week, like last video, I have another watercolor. This is just a watercolor painting that I have created. I've been feeling a little bit uninspired when it came to watercolor painting, but I got hit with a surge of inspiration and just decided to do this one here. And yeah, and I just had this idea here and decided to create it, and I think it turned out pretty nice. But yeah, that's just a little finished object that I have for my second finished object. And now my third and final finished object this week is the weekend hat by Petite Knit. This was a work in progress last video as well, and I have completed it now. It definitely is a very quick knit, so I understand why it's called the weekend hat, because you can complete it if you were to do this monogamously. Just to work on this hat, you could complete one of these easily in a weekend. So this hat I used Double Sunday by Sanduskarn in the color 2563, this one here. And on camera, just looking at it, it's much more yellowy than it is in real life. The color in real life is kind of a milk chocolate, kind of light brown. But yeah, this is the weekend hat. So the pattern basically is you work in 1x1 rib up to a certain point, work some double knitting, work some more 1x1 rib, then work some more double knitting for the folds, and then work the body in 1x1 rib until you get to the part where you decrease for the crown. So this is this here, and then you just fold it on the double knitting, and it creates this nice chunky brim, which I think will be really warm in the winter. And yeah, I think I really like how it turned out. It definitely gives you a nice beefy, meaty hat for the winter. And it stretches quite a bit because it is that 1x1 rib. So it looks pretty small, but it's supposed to, this is the size large, I believe. The second last size. I'm not sure if it's large or medium, but it's the second last adult size. There's one more size above this, but this is the second last size, and it stretches out quite a bit. And yeah, it was a really quick knit. The pattern was very easy to follow, and if you like making hats like I do, or just want to make a nice gift knit, I think this would be the perfect perfect design for it. Now, just talking about the Double Sunday for a second, this is my first time using it from Sanduskarn. I had used the Sunday originally for my Petite Knit Stockholm Slipover V-neck, and I really loved the Sunday. But working with the Double Sunday, I think, yeah, I wasn't as big as a fan as I was of the Sunday. The Double Sunday, just the way that the fibers are kind of plied together are kind of loose, in my opinion. So I felt that when I was knitting, sometimes one of the fibers within the strand would be looser than the other fibers in the strand, and that's just kind of a personal preference of mine. I'm not really too big of a fan of that, but also I think because I'm a beginner, it might have to do with my tension as well while knitting. But yeah, that's just something that I noticed. I think if I were to ever use this or have anything that called for this yarn again, I might opt to getting 2 strands of Sunday held together, because I believe they give a very similar gauge. But again, that's a little bit more expensive, because I believe each ball of Sunday is about $8, and each ball of this is about $13, at least where I buy it from. But then again, actually no, it might actually be cheaper, because you get 250 times 2 for 16, and then you get 250 times 2 for 12, or for 13, so 26. So yeah, it might be cheaper to get 2 Sundays instead of 1 double Sunday. So that might be something I might try moving forward. But yeah, that's just my first opinion of the Double Sunday by Sanduskarn. Okay, now moving on to my works in progress. My first work in progress was also in my last video, and it is the Halibut Sweater by Boyland Knits. So I have finished the colorwork yoke here, and I've just separated for the sleeves and the body, and now I'm just working through the body in stockinette stitch. And yeah, I work through that for a bit, and then I work the ribbing on the body and then do the sleeves and work the sleeves ribbing, and then I am done, I believe. So yeah, looking at it on camera, I'm really in love with the color contrast between the yarns. The yarn I used for this is the Saunders Yarn Co. Sunday Morning DK, and it's a very nice yarn. I'm kind of in love with it, and it's, I believe, a newer company, but the yarn is just very toothy and nice, but also very soft and drapey. You can't really tell with the colorwork yoke because it's kind of has the floats in behind and is very thick, but on the bottom here where it's just the single of the brown in stockinette, it's very drapey and feels very nice, even though it is so toothy and gives so much stitch definition within the color here. So yeah, this is my first time doing a colorwork sweater and a colorwork yoke. I know there are other sweaters as well where you work the colorwork in flat and then connect them in the body, but yeah, this is a yoke, colorwork yoke, so you just work in the round. I opted to do there's 3 versions of this sweater, and there's a crew neck, a mock crew neck, and a turtleneck version, or a mock turtleneck and a turtleneck version. I opted to do the crew neck version, so you just do 1 inch of 1x1 ribbing because I am a big fan of the of crew necks, and then you just do some shaping on the back using short rows before the yoke, and then you just work the colorwork yoke, and I think it turned out really nice. I watched a lot of videos before starting this on colorwork stranded knitting, and one of the things that was the most recommended piece of instructions or information was to make sure your floats aren't too tight. So I tried to do that as best as I could in order to avoid puckering, as you can see on the inside. And I think it turned out pretty well. There is a bit of puckering here, if you can see, but I think that's just from the way that the increases and decreases, or the increases in the yoke were, because they're always where the increases were meant to be put. So I'm hoping after I wash and block it, those will come out kind of like that. So yeah, I'm hoping that that's just a wash and block fix, because because when I worked on the yoke, I tried to make sure that the floats were pretty loose and good to go for the back there. But yeah, I'm just working through the round here. This one has kind of taken a little bit of a back seat for my next work in progress, because I'm trying to finish it by a deadline, and that is this one here, and this is the vest number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. So this is a yellow vest idea that I had mentioned in my previous video. In my previous video, I had talked about possibly doing the holiday slipover by Petite Knit, but I actually had misread the pattern for that one and bought the wrong amount of yarn. So I thought the yarn was just an Aran weight yarn or an Aran weight / bulk yarn held together with a lace weight to create that vest, but it was actually 2 Aran weight yarns held together with a lace weight, so you're actually doing 3 strands. So I bought enough yarn to make it, but I would have had to have held 6 strands of yarn together to make the one vest, and I just thought using up 6 strands of yarn for that vest would be a little bit too much, especially the yarn that I got was I really liked. So I just decided to get a different pattern, and it was this one here, which is basically a DK weight yarn held together with a lace weight, but I'm holding 2 balls of the Knitting for Olive Merino, one in the color Quince and the one in the color Dusty Banana, together with a lace weight Spinny by Sayer yarn in the color 35S, I believe it is. It's the yellow one, which is 100% new lamb's wool. And that kind of gives me a much more structured and woolly material, which I really was looking for. So yeah, instead of using like 2,000 yards, because I would have been holding 6 strands, I'm just holding 2 together, and I'm hoping to finish it in about 600 yards, so save quite a lot of, or 1,200 yards or meters, so save a lot of wool from the ones that I bought. So yeah, that's just, I'm working through this. This is actually an idea to wear to a wedding. So I'm hoping to finish it by the middle of August. That's when the wedding is. So I've just been kind of monogamously working on this one, trying to get it done. I'm almost done the body here, and then you work, I think, about 5 centimeters or 5 inches of ribbing, and then do the neckline and then the armholes, and then I'm done. So yeah, I've been working on it quite a bit. This was actually cast on after my last video, so within about 2 weeks I've done, maybe even a week, I've done this much. So it's coming along, and I've been working through it quite a bit. But yeah, the design is basically you work the back first, and then cast on the shoulders, work the shoulders, and then connect them in the front. Work the front a bit while you shape the armholes, and then you connect the two, and then just work in stockinette stitch. So something interesting about this pattern is all the other patterns I've done for the back you shape with short rows, but this one you actually cast on the back of the neck, and then each row you cast on 6 more stitches, or as many more stitches as it calls for in the pattern, and you do that about 3 times, so you get this kind of step design that creates a trapezoid when you cast on, and then you cast on the stitches on the shoulders onto those steps. So it's definitely a little bit more interesting. I think doing it with the short rows actually gives a cleaner look, but yeah, that's just a personal preference of mine, or a personal opinion. But yeah, this was the first time I was doing that. One thing I will say with this pattern is, if you're a beginner, casting on for the shoulders might not be beginner friendly, because it doesn't really give you too much instruction other than just cast on the left and then cast on the right. But because I had done another vest previously from Petite Knit, in her pattern it says to cast on the left shoulder using the short end of the yarn, and then to cast on the right using the working end of the yarn. So you end up starting the right side row from the right direction in order to get the right increases from the pattern to shape the neckline for both sides. So without having done that vest before, I would have been pretty lost as a beginner for casting on these shoulders, because it doesn't mention anything like that in this pattern. And I even looked it up online because I wasn't too sure, and I couldn't find any information online as well. So yeah, if you're a beginner, that's just something I would look out for when you're doing this pattern. But other than that, the pattern's pretty easy to follow, and pretty well written for the rest of the work. But yeah, that's my second work in progress, and hopefully I'll have this done by next video and the middle of August. So yeah, I'm working through this one. Now my next work in progress, and yeah, my next work in progress is actually another weekend hat by Petite Knit, and this is this one here. So because I had already talked about it in my finished object, I won't talk too much about the pattern, but this is another weekend hat. I just really love making hats, so I'm working on another one here, and this one I am using the Santa's Garden Double Sunday again, and this one is in the color 3511. I really like this color. It's definitely a pretty nice little pink. So yeah, this is just a quick little work in progress that I have now, and that I'm slowly working through as a weekend hat. So yeah. Now my last work in progress that I have is actually a part of my acquisitions as well as works in progress, because I got these for acquisitions this video, but I also have cast it on, and it is the radiation hat. So I have this book here, which is the 52 Weeks of Accessories by Lane Publishing, and there is a hat in here called the radiation hat. I have basically on my list of things to make a sweater for my brother, a sweater for my mom, and then I asked my dad if there was something he would like me to make for him, and he said he'd like a nice hat. So I asked him to look through this book and pick out a hat design that he liked, and he decided to go with the radiation sweater by Juno Hori, and that's it here. So he decided to go with that one. It is a bulky weight yarn held with a lace weight for each color, and then you kind of work 2x2 ribbing for the brim, and then it looks like you do alternating pearls for the hat to alternate the colors, and then it calls for a crochet hook to create kind of the bridge that goes up to the crown. But yeah, I just got acquisitions for that this week, and I decided to cast it on. So I've just casted it on last night before going to bed. So I have about 2 rows of the 2x2 rib started, and that's really about it. He wanted a nice navy beanie with a light blue color accent, so that's what I started here, with the contrast color being the light blue. But because these were acquisitions, I'll move into the acquisitions part now and talk to you guys what I picked up. So starting off with that hat, I actually picked up Sandusgarn Sunday in the color 6050, which is a petite knit colorway, and I picked that one up here, which is this here, so a nice light blue. And then for the other, or for the chunky weight to hold with it, I picked up Rowan Kid Classic, which is 70% wool, 22% mohair, and 8% polyamide in the color 915. So that's this one here. And I'm holding these two together for the contrast color. So for the main color, I picked up another Sandusgarn Sunday in the color 6581. And then I also picked up Rowan Kid Classic in the color 831. So that's the navy that's going to be held together, and then with the contrasting baby blue there. So I'm just working through that. I believe it'll go pretty quick because it is a chunky weight, for the most part, held together with a fingering weight. So I believe it'll go very, very quick, and it's knit on 5mm needles. So I just started that one, and I'll see how quick I finish that one. Now moving on to my second acquisition this week. So going back to the 52 Weeks of Accessories book, I actually bought this book for the mittens that are on the front I really want to make. So it calls for a sport weight in that, and I when I go to the knitting loft, have seen this yarn here, which is the Crea Deluxe Organic Wool 1, and it is and it is 100% merino wool, 150 meters per 50 grams, and it's very, very soft. It reminds me a lot of the Knitting for Olive merino. They have a lot of color variation and a lot of color or a large color palette for this. So I decided to pick these up because these were sport weight and very, very soft for mitts, and I'm going to try to create those gloves there for this one. So my main color is going to be the green with the kind of yellowish cream for the contrasting color, and those will be the mitts for that one. So let me look actually at the name of the gloves, if anyone was wondering what they're called for the pattern. So these ones are the Acanthus gloves by Ellie Leistad. But yeah, that's what those are. So just another picture there. So I'm kind of excited to cast those ones on. I'm not in too much of a rush because you can't really wear mitts, unlike hats, until basically it's really, really cold. And right now in Canada it's about 30 degrees every day, so it's definitely not mitts weather for sure. Looking at my next acquisition, I just picked up this Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair in the color Cloud or Sky. It's just kind of a light pink mohair, and what I'm going to do with this is hold it together with this Noro yarn that I have, which is the Compitio, 35% silk, 35% cotton, and 30% polyamide. I'm going to hold these two together and create a beanie. There's a beanie that I saw online by a designer called Banana Knit. She had just released it. It's called the Bespoke Beanie. And what it is basically is you can knit it with any yarn or needle size that you like. You just have to make a swatch, and then based on the swatch sizes or size, she has all the math in the pattern to create any type of beanie that you want, any length, any size, with any needle, and she has all the math in the pattern in there for you so that you can basically create your own beanie. And Some people look for their perfect vanilla sock, and I'm always looking for my perfect vanilla beanie. So I'm hoping after I finish the 2 hats that I'm working on, that this one, when I cast on, will be the perfect find for my perfect vanilla beanie. But yeah, that's that. And then my my second to last acquisition this week, I have some sock yarn in stash. And I've never knit a sock before, so I decided to pick up these ChowGoo stainless steel 2.5 millimeter 9-inch circulars, hopefully to be able to make some socks with this beautiful sock yarn that I have. So this first one here is the Skylines Knit City Toronto's limited colorway from the Lab Fibers, and it is their Cozy Toes DK, and it is 75% superwash merino wool and 25% nylon. Very, very cool color for socks for sure. And then I also have the sock base, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon in the color Northern Cardinal Female from Songbird Fibers, which is another cool colorway for socks. And then finally I have the Deep Freeze DK, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon in the color Harborfront, which is another Knit City Toronto exclusive colorway from the Frosted Stitch. So I had bought these for their colors before I really had started to really dive into knitting, and I wasn't really sure what to make with them. So I could make an Annelie hat like I made with my made in my other video, using some boucle and some hand-dyed yarn, just a 2-color brioche hat, but I want to try to make maybe some really nice socks with these. So I just picked up some circular ChowGoo needles, hopefully to make some socks. So I might try that after I finish some other things on my list. But yeah, now moving on to my very last acquisition this week. It is some custom tags that I got off Etsy. Some custom leather tags for when I give my knits as gift knits, which is just made by Matt for you, and it has my little logo that I put on my cards and stuff of the finger heart. So yeah, just a little pickup, and my last acquisition of this video. Okay, that's it for this video. I just wanted to say thanks so much again for enjoying the videos and subscribing. And if you have any recommendations or any ways to improve the videos, don't be afraid to post on the comments below to let me know. I've been really enjoying making these videos and just showing you guys my process of kind of getting addicted and obsessed with the world of knitting, and I've hoped you guys have enjoyed watching it too. If you want to see me post kind of my finished objects with kind of some drawings and some stuff like that, you can follow me on Instagram. The link is in the description box below. And if you enjoyed the video, I hope you'll think about liking the video or subscribing, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.